I know I'm cringe, but holy shit, she's on another level.
Right. Are we ready? Should I make a start? Because I'm just conscious of time.
Quite yet here. Okay. I gotta wait for the other dogs to get done doing their business outside. I'm not leaving them out in the freezing cold.
Right. You go get done doing your business outside. Hurry up and finish your shit. Have you seen that video of there's a 3-year-old Ben with a big Labrador, and the Labrador's pooing, and the little tiny girl just runs up to the dog and then starts patting it on the back to try and squeeze the shit out more?
Yeah.
I can see SVD doing that right now.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not. Fuck no. These dogs are big enough.
Nah, I believe it.
I'm gonna have to fucking call one of them.
Like any supportive dog owner would.
Yeah.
How many hours behind this is SVD? Is he 5 hours behind me? Oh, there you go. Yeah,
you and I maintain a 5-hour distance.
Yeah.
Except for when the daylight saving stuff happens, in which
it's 6.
Case.
Is it 6?
Yeah, it'll be 6 for a little bit, and then because I think we do daylight savings on different days. I'm ready for the clap.
I've been ready for a while.
All right, cool. Okay, we're ready for a clap.
Wait, why do you turn noise suppression off?
Oh, it doesn't pick it up.
Isn't noise suppression on Discord?
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I don't know. I've always turned it off because I never thought that it would pick it up, but forgetting that I'm doing Audacity and not Discord.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is the noise suppression is exclusively a Discord filter.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay.
Give me one moment. I'm just gonna pull the battery out of it.
We're never gonna get started.
I'm literally
First ratchet's not up, then SVD's got to go and make his dogs have a shit.
So it was just because I have a thing that I have an Airwick thing that it's automatically sprays the can of air, the can of smelly stuff into the air.
Yeah.
You guys know this? Yeah, I have one of those, and I heard I wasn't speaking. I looked at Audacity and it went off in the background and it spiked louder than my voice. So I was like, "Ooh, get rid of that."
Yeah.
Because I literally it went man in the background at little engine, the little motor gun, and I literally saw not Spotify. I saw Audacity just go eh. I was like, "Oh god."
I'm pleased you said that though, because I've just realised I didn't turn my phone off either. So give me a second as well. Well, I say that I don't think there's many people going to message me at 10 to midnight.
You'd be fucking surprised the shit that happens. I've had it where it's just I was recording something and I'm like, I need a clean room, and then my phone just goes, it's like, go fuck yourself. Who the fuck is that? And it was emails. It's like, get fucked.
Yeah. Okay.
Not even politely. Go fuck yourself.
Let's clap. 3,
I'm ready to go.
2, 1.
Yo, that is a clean spike.
That is a good spike on my end as well. Better than the one last time.
It somehow lasted about half a second. My fat ass hands could clap so hard that it lasted more than a little spike.
Ratchet. Sorry, I've just got some breaking news through.
The
UK government, the Canadian government, and the Australian government are now working together to go ahead with a coordinated ban on X. So you're losing it as well now.
I won't be.
Potentially. Well, yeah, VPN.
I'll fist fight my government in the street because they keep blocking more and more of the internet, and that's pissing me off. They're trying to ban VPNs. We don't see any good reason for anyone to use a VPN. It's yeah, because you literally do not work in tech and security, you fucking dipshit. I see no good reason for anyone to have a car, to drive a vehicle. Yeah, because you don't drive a vehicle. Yeah, I take public transport. No one should have to drive a car. In fact, let's get buses and cars off the road. Ban all the vehicles, because I don't see a use for them.
I've just looked in our Steam Sentinels chat, and what I love is that every year, without fail, you know that Pizzagate thing that happened in 2018, 2019, in our server, where everyone just went on this massive thing about comparing video game companies and video games to if you ordered a pizza. Yeah, Chronologist, without fail, always comes in and reminds me when the date anniversary is for that, so then I can re-enable the Pizzagate text channel again. 14th of March. I'll have to put that in my calendar. 14th. Oh, it's a Saturday. Okay. Might celebrate by getting pizza. Pizzagate Day.
What's fucked is the real Pizzagate is entirely fucked up.
Literally.
We've layered it.
This is our
layered it
version of
into this.
Pizzagate.
Yeah, into its own weird little Sentinels joke.
I love it. I live for it though. It's every year I'll always be like, we're gonna leave it open just for 24 hours, and then people are still posting that much. We leave it open for like an extra couple of days or something like that.
It ends up being like a week plus sometimes. It's like by the end of it, it's just like one person being like, Grand Theft Auto 5 pizza, where the topping is bullets, a Skyrim pizza, Fussbro, your pizza's on the wall now, and it's like, are you done? No, I've got more. No, you're done. We're shutting it down now. No, I've got like 3 more. Come on.
The 2 dogs are fighting, and I'm dealing with them.
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna fucking suck if that's just gonna be the background the entire time.
Well, I flipped my mic up, so that's why you didn't hear all that.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Just for you.
If I pick up anything on his end with the dogs fighting, I'm just gonna like maybe intersperse it and then just make it seem like he's growling at everything that we're saying. It's like, oh, that really pisses me off.
Yeah. Yes, doggo. Yes, I know. Okay.
I think developers should be more open, and then SVDs end. I think developers should stay in their fucking lane.
Yes. Hi, Jaja. What is it?
You just kind of can't talk to the dogs while we're... It's the only thing.
They're adorable. I'm like you. No, I'm kidding.
I was happy with what. Oh, that was it. Yeah, that article that got written up about us this week. And they made that like AI generated image, and then you were saying, "Oh, that's canonically." There was like 2 dogs. That's canonically Mick and Mello. And I said something like, "Oh yeah, I always knew you were a bitch" or something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Shut the fuck up, Matcha. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Steam Sentinels podcast, episode 12, When Trust Breaks. I'm your host, Mellow Online, and I am joined by Ratchet. How are we today, Ratchet?
Tired.
How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
I would say about 3.5. It's not because I didn't try. There were... Long story short, I live in Australia, and I think there's a lot of places in the world where this happens. We got rats in our roof, and we have basically pest killers in the roof to make sure that they die, because otherwise, if you get rats in the roof in Australia, you get snakes in the roof. You get snakes in the roof, you have to hire somebody in to get rid of them, otherwise they come down into the house, and you get snakes in your house. Common thing in Australia. Look it up on YouTube. It's always funny. They always end up in the fucking toilet bowl for some reason.
It just sounds like a Snakes on a Plane spin-off film.
Yeah,
I was about
snakes
to say,
in your toilet.
it's the unofficial sequel. Snakes in the house.
Instead of Samuel L. Jackson, they ripped it off for Ratchet 3789 instead.
I love the reference there too. Yeah, so my room smelled like dead rat for a while, so did my office, and then we finally got up into the roof. We had to pull the roof off the house, like, we have corrugated paneling, and we had to literally unscrew it and pull it out. Me and my dad are standing on the roof, pulling pieces of the roof off to try and get into it to get rid of these dead rats. And so, last night, all I could smell was still dead rat, and I didn't get much sleep, because... that's literally still all I could smell, even though there's no rats in there anymore, and the room is like fully deodorized. I have a little like air purifier in there.
Is deodorized a word? Does that actually exist?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, I love it. I've ate it. Can you not even just like go and sleep on like a sofa or something in like your living room?
No. Well, I could. Sorry, I could, but I can't. Like, my body will not let me sleep on any kind of, like, lounge. I used to as a teenager. My friend had a lounge that was at, like, a 25-30 degree angle, so it was meant to be one that you could, like, easily get down into for... I think his mum had, like, arthritis or something. Point being, it was very comfortable, and I couldn't even sleep in that. I don't know what it is. Like, people can sleep wherever. Like, there's people that can sleep in the back of their car. I can't sleep in that. I couldn't do that.
I can, but I've got to be really exhausted if I'm going to sleep on a sofa or sleep in a car. I can't just do it for leisure. I'm also joined by Survivalent Death. How are we today, Survivalent Death?
Doing alright. Continuing to dog sit my sister's dogs.
What type of dogs are they again?
So one of them is a Hungarian Vizsla. The other one, I honestly do not remember the name of the breed.
I thought you were going to say the name of the dog. It's like, oh, that's a bit concerning.
Well, no, their names are easy to remember, easy enough, because they both start with V, and they were actually named after the Gabor sisters. They're like 30s, 50s, early 1900s actresses from Hungary.
Fancy schmancy.
I'm glad you added the hundreds to the end of that. It got a little concerning.
Anyway, so welcome to the first episode of the new year, first episode of 2026. I hope everyone had a good Christmas and a happy new year. This episode is going to be a little bit shorter than usual because we've had some problems just today in terms of getting together and actually coming down to record. Tech issues. I'm also quite ill still today I've still got a Christmas cold, so we're making this a little bit shorter than usual. So we are going to be doing our comment comeback section. We're also going to be covering another topic which is based on the most recent Steam Sentinels announcement, with us laying out what we plan to do and cover in 2026. All this for you and more on the Steam Sentinels podcast. But before we get into both those topics, SVD, what have you been playing this week?
Warframe. Mostly Warframe. I was trying to mess around with Halo Infinite's Forge after watching like a video where someone managed to make a Destiny-style raid in Halo Infinite's with like Halo Infinite's Forge tools, which I thought was really cool. But it's not a very intuitive system, and like my ADD just, I could not stay focused enough to actually get more out of messing around with it. But I got back into Warframe this week, and
can I ask how many hours you've spent in it this week? Because I've seen you on there a lot this week. And I was even thinking to myself the other day, I wonder how long he's spent in that game this week.
60 hours.
60 in a week?
Yeah.
That's insane. Hold on, how many days is that? That's just under 3 consecutive days. Full days, isn't it?
Yeah, that's nearly a full work week.
Wow, that's impressive.
Wait, it's more than a full work week. It's more than a full... 40 hours is a work week.
I'm impressed.
To be fair, 8 of them is probably after I fell asleep.
Oh, right, did you fall asleep with the game running?
Yes.
Oh my days, that's so
well,
funny.
It's more like I forgot to close the game.
I know, I've done that loads. I've done that loads.
Well, and it's one of the things, it's not a super resource intensive game, because otherwise, like those games, I can hear the, all the fans and whatnot working on the PC, where with Warframe, I really don't, which is nice. So yeah. That's mostly what I've been playing.
So to cut you off real quick, it's very funny that we just talked about not being able to sleep in places, because SVD, I've known him for nearly 10 years at this point, and he's fallen asleep in his computer chair at the computer at least 30 times that I've known him, which is 30 times more than I've ever fallen asleep at my computer desk.
Well, here's the thing. My computer chairs are office chairs, so they're nice, and a lot of times I'm I try to stay up late either because I'm talking with people and I don't want to miss out. Um, that kind of thing where like I don't want to go to bed because it'll be tomorrow. That's usually the thing with me. But in the case of I don't have a computer desk. I'm using a dining room chair because I've got my computer and whatnot set up in the dining room, and so I can't exactly fall asleep in this chair. But so what happened was is that I forgot to close the game, and when I went over and was sleeping on the couch, um, again just forgot to close the game, so it was just running.
There will be an episode of the podcast where SVD will fall asleep partway through, and I'll be going through the audio and the edit, and I'll just hear snoring. That'll be a good day, and I'll have loads of fun working on that.
Well, see, the thing is, your opportunity was already missed. Because that was the when we originally were going to start doing the podcast, and I just, I was so excited, I couldn't sleep. Not really. I won't put the podcast on. I was partially excited, but medication issues. So otherwise, you probably would have heard me fall asleep.
That would have been great. I'll still hold out hope. I'll hold out hope. Matchup, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I don't know about you, but I've been playing a lot of Dead Island.
Oh, same.
Oh, that's weird. Why would you be playing the same game as me? That's weird, dude. You need to not do that. Yeah, it's kind of a nice little nostalgia trip. But it also reminds me of how much the fucking player controller sucks ass and the driving. Why does it lock up when you hold W and then A nearly right after each other? Why does the steering lock up? Why can't I turn? What's happening? This is meant to be the definitive edition. It's definitively bad.
I've been enjoying it. It's very rough around the edges. It's not perfect by any means, but the core gameplay itself, I think, is really fun. The world itself is very well fleshed out. Even like those little bits of like side character details that we were picking up on, like even when we came into like a villa, I think, and there was just a guy in a blood-riddled pool, and he was forced to like kill his whole family. Like he had no quest, no nothing tied to him. It was just a random conversation you could just have with him. It's like, geez, this is something. But no, I've been enjoying that as well. Me and Ratchet are doing a co-op campaign. We're just over halfway through the game now, aren't we?
Yeah, we just got back to the church. We went to the town. I'm not spoiling it for anyone. I think most people have played it. It's a 16-year-old game at this point. We went into the town. The sewers are driving me nuts. If I have to go into those fucking sewers one more time, I'm done with this game. I just... It's fun, but also fuck. I just forgot how much... I don't even know the word for what it is.
Well, the problem is, I think it's the same thing with any sewer level in any game. It's like, I get frustrated with sewer levels because the environment's just so much more drabber compared to everything else in the game. And it's like, I'd rather not be spending my time down here. I'd rather be spending it up there where there's a lot more interesting stuff. But we're spending so long in these sewer levels that I feel like I'm missing out on some better stuff.
Yeah. You end up in these weird, like, interactions where it's just like... I guess a lot of it is just, you're stuck hanging out in the sewers where there's a ton of enemies up close, and this game has a problem with just spewing a million enemies at you. And you're like, I get it, there's zombies. I understand the concept of the game. Please just let me not have to kill zombies.
I'm like, it just pushes element, and I could kill you. That would be fun.
There is the arena. Oh wait, no, the arena's co-op against the zombies.
We'll do that.
I thought the arena's. I don't know. Yeah, because every time we fast travel, it pops up and it's like fast travel to the arena. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, we're gonna get fucked up. It's been fun. I look forward to Dead On because we started Dying Light. We started playing that, then we jumped back over to Dead On, and then Dying Light feels. I don't know if you feel it, but Dying Light feels nicer. It feels.
Yeah, it plays better. I've not played enough to like properly get immersed in like the world and the plot and everything that's going on.
No.
But yeah, no, it already does feel a lot smoother to play compared to Dead Island. Like I said, does feel a little bit jankier.
I do. I appreciate as well. We're following it through Dead Armed, Riptide, Dying Light 2, and then hopefully the Beast, because it shows how over time Techland went from like, we did a zombie game, we had no money, it got popular, we did another zombie game. Oh, well, that did really well, and unfortunately we lost the license to Dead On, so we're doing another zombie game. By the way, we made the engine a hell of a lot better, and then, like, the Beast is the best one so far. The Beast feels so good to play. If you go play Dead On and then jump instantly to the Beast, you're just like, this is not the same company. There is no way this is the same developer. The Beast feels so smooth, so reactive, it runs so well. It's like, there's no way this is the same company, just, 16... I think it was like 15, 14 years later. It's like, this is wild.
Yeah, I'm still keen to give Dead Island 2 a try as well, because...
Oh yeah, it's also very good.
Yeah. I've heard various things. I hear people basically agree it is better than Dead Island 1, but by how much that kind of varies to certain degrees.
A million.
I heard it had quite a few technical problems when it first launched, like loads of crashes, loads of disconnections when you were online.
I didn't. As somebody who got it day one and was really excited for it, but I had low expectations because, it had been 3 different studios.
10 years of development plus.
Yeah, I was ready to be like, this game's going to be shit. And it ran at 120 FPS for me. There was no crashing. I played it in single player, so I don't know what the multiplayer servers were like. But yeah, Dan Buster did a really fucking good job picking up what was essentially a heap of really kind of just shit. They just picked up what could have been the worst, zombie game ever. And they somehow smoothed it over. It's excellent. Like, it's worth going and watching their tech talks about, like the GDC talks. And it's like, yeah, the gore system is so detailed that if you hit a zombie, there are 4 layers. There is the skeletal layer, there's a meat layer, there's an outer flesh layer, and then there's the actual skin layer. And all of that reacts individually to each weapon separately, and it's entirely dynamic. And it's like, it's a game about killing zombies. It doesn't matter that much, guys. And they're like, no, it does. You're like, God damn. You break a zombie's jaw, it breaks differently every time.
Yeah.
Who is that for? We don't need that much detail. I'm impressed. As a game developer, it's like, this is fucking impressive as hell, but also, chill, guys. I just want to kill some zombies. I don't care that their jaw breaks differently every time I punch them in the face. It ain't that deep.
I have heard people say that it's probably one of the best gore systems in any video game ever.
I think it is the best gore system in AVO. I don't think there's any game that handles, like, the way you can break arms and legs in this game is it's so detailed that if you put it on real people rather than zombies, I think people would be like, this is a murder simulator. This is fucked. Like, this is evil, this shit. So, like, they got away with it with zombies, but yeah, if you put it on real human beings, people would be like, this game is horrific.
Yeah, I've been playing Dead Island with you, obviously, Ratchet, but yeah, I went on Steam because I'm trying to think. I was thinking to myself, I've played a few things this week. Yeah, I've played a few different games this week. I went back to Plague Inc. Evolved, played a little bit of that, and it's not really a game that I can sit and play for ages, but I might hop on, do a game, infect the world with a virus, and then call it a day. And then it's nice for like little short bursts of time. I like some people I know like sit and play it for ages. It's like, nah, this is like a 40-minute session done and dusted. Pick it up again in a few days' time if I'm bored. Not that the game's bad or anything like that. I just feel like it gets super repetitive, and there's only so many times that you can go through even with the different scenarios it's got, it still feels like kind of samey at times. You have to adjust your gameplay style, but I don't know, I think it's just something to do with like the gameplay loop itself isn't the most engaging for someone like me.
To be fair, it was a mobile game that came over to PC. It's very good, but yeah, I think it's designed for short bursts.
I mean, I see people with like 300, 400 hours in it, and it's just like, how? 300, 400 hours in that?
People do that with a lot of games, concerningly. It's like, you guys, okay. You've got 800 hours, like, you're like, 3,000 hours in fucking Final Fantasy Online. I think you've finished everything in that game. Do you need professional help? Do we need to get somebody out to you?
I think you've just called out half our community, because we've got quite a few Final Fantasy 14 fans in our Discord.
Oh, we do. I've played it. I enjoy it. The subscription kills my wallet because it doesn't have Australian dollar support. But yeah, it's like you play it for long enough, and it's like, all right, the only thing I have left to do is just repeat dungeons now. It's like, I don't get it.
Speaking of repetition, I've also played a bit more Pokemon Emerald, but I've been waning off it a little bit more now. I think with any Pokemon game, I'm kind of in a moment where there was a gym that I was at, and I had to grind XP for like 3 hours to get all my Pokemon up to like a standard of to be able to just beat the gym leader. And then there was maybe like an hour of gameplay, then I hit another gym. It's like, oh, right. And then I tried the gym and I was still nowhere near where I should be. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to go through that grind session over again. I just get, that tuned me out of it a little bit. I just got really frustrated by the fact that I was just stuck in this gameplay loop of go into a cave, run around, kill a bunch of, KO some Pokemon. It just killed it for me. Personally, I haven't picked it up since just before the end of the year. Been also playing Game of Life 2. That's been fun. I remembered I had Game of Life in my Steam library, and I just thought, you know what? I played a little bit of this, and I never actually explored all of the game board maps. And sometimes when I've got friends over, some of them will be asking about playing Game of Life. And we used to play the original version that was on Steam, but then I bought the sequel because it was like dirt cheap and it had all the DLC for like £5 or something, which I thought was a steal. So I've been playing through some of it just so I can have a look around some of the other maps that came in the DLC. And yeah, game's surprisingly fun. Even when I'm playing it solo against the computers, it's really fun. A lot of it is down to chance, unfortunately, but like the unpredictability of the games is kind of fun. But then there's obviously some things that you can do. What I like about the sequel over the original is that you've kind of got loads of different things that can influence your points. So you've got like money, happiness, wealth, something else, knowledge, house properties that you own. And each thing gives you like a certain amount of points. So then you're kind of having to play strategically in terms of where you go on the board, because you're then also having to look at, okay, where can I reach the most amount of points from? Whereas with the original Game Life, it was kind of like more narrow, and you just had to go from beginning to end with very few impacts beyond like the types of cards that you would bank, which kind of was just the same across the board. This one, there was at least a little bit more player input in it as well. And last couple, Ratchet, on your not recommendation, I tried out Operation Outbreak.
No, my not. That was a mixed wire. My not recommendation was that zombie game. Yeah, my not recommendation was actually for that zombie game that was it was like $40. The one that we played, it was like Outbreak something, the top-down 2D co-op.
Yes.
With what? Yeah. So the 3D one of that they made, that sucked, and it was really hard to figure out. And on my brand new fucking fancy graphics card, it ran at like 30 FPS max because they just took Unreal 5 and ran with it without, thinking about modifying the default settings for Nanite or Lumen or changing up anything they just slapped DLSS and FXR on it and called it a day. Which sucks ass, because I had FXR on Ultra Performance, and it still really struggled. It's like, at this point, you just made a really shitty, poorly optimized game, because I feel like you don't know how to program, and I will happily call you out for that.
The Operation Outbreak one that I've played, I think this was, like, something they made when they were at college or university or something like that, and they just put it up for Steam for free. Just because they wanted to do something with it, which is fair. At least I can say I didn't pay any money for it. But yeah, it is very rough. I think it's only a short game. It's only meant to be like an hour. But I quitted after. I looked at my Steam time. I quitted after 20 minutes because it's like, it was so buggy. It was so janky. The movement was awful. I just didn't have the patience to persevere with it, and it does drop you in straight away, which I kind of like, because, like, okay, it's just kind of saying fuck you to all of this, like, exposition at the beginning. And it's just getting you straight into your boots onto the ground and just go and kill some zombies. But, yeah, the gameplay for me just was really, really janky. More janky than Dead Island is. But I'll throw some sympathy cards to it for it being a college project and it being up for Steam for free. At least they're not charging for it. It's done well. It's got good reviews on Steam. People clearly seem to like it. It's not for me.
Oh yeah. Short 10 to 20 minute game developed solo in a few weeks as a student exam project for a development course. Okay, so it wasn't like Full Sail or something. It was like, I went to this random college and they taught me how to make a game in Unreal in Blueprint in 2 weeks.
Basically,
nice.
Yeah.
I personally think you shouldn't put games like that on Steam, but I think that leads into a very bigger very bigger. My English is fantastic. It leads into a much bigger discussion about how we handle how games should be on platforms like Steam. I think, kind of TLDR, I think it's if you see a game like that, if you really want to put a game like that up on a platform, itch.io exists for that exact reason. That's the point of itch. It's free, and you can make money off it. You can sell and have a free copy up there. You can be like, hey, it's free, but if you want to do a donator edition, $5, please. Oh yeah, sorry, you don't even need to do that. You can just say, I haven't been on itch in years. You can just do pay me or take it for free, but I prefer that you pay me.
Yeah, like a pay as you feel kind of option.
Yeah.
It was of enough quality that I was keen to see what they could make if they had some more time. Because, like, as well, like, the models and everything in Operation Outbreak were glitching out. And it was like the fingers were, like, glitching into the floor. The models were, like, super stretched.
Yeah. I am going to go play it now. I'm going to go download it and stream it tonight.
Yeah, but fantastic. Last game I played, this was on SVD's recommendation. I tried out some of The Flock, which was came from 2014, I think. It's basically...
It was not a recommendation, more like I was curious to see whether or not it was still, like, playable.
Yeah, but after you recommended it, I tried it for a little bit. Because I had it in my library for ages and just never played it. It was a game... Yeah, 2015, sorry. Game released in 2015. Whole marketing angle of it was basically there was a finite number of times players in the world could die. It was something like 10 million. When the game reached 10 million deaths, all the game servers were basically set to go offline. Like, the population of crows or birds was depleted to zero. So you were working continuously on borrowed time. But
that was the idea. The problem was that the company was not alive long enough for that, and so part of it, which the server that they used to keep track of the population, for to set the population limit, went down when the company went bust.
Yeah.
So,
part of the problem was the game didn't get that good of a reception when it came out. It got bad reviews from critics. It got bad reviews from users. It's currently got 36% mostly negative on Steam, and it's also got a 36 on Metacritic. I played it because I remember seeing it at E3, and I thought, you know what, that's quite a neat kind of novelty factor. It was enough for me to be at least interested in it. But yeah, I got it and then just never played it. But the game still does work. It still does function, but it's peer-to-peer now. So it's like kind of you connect to multiplayer. Your connections are just between each other rather than it being dedicated servers. But I played through like a little section that the game had, kind of a tutorial segment, but there was like actual parts of gameplay that you could play through. And it was quite neat, I thought. It was a nice, different take on a multiplayer kind of shooter, and the idea is you had to use sources of light to kill off enemies, so you had to shine light at these monsters to expose them to light, and otherwise when the monsters can defend themselves, but they've got to stay still. If they move and they're in light, then they'll get eviscerated, but if they stop at the perfect time and they stay still while the light's on them, then they can still stay alive. And I thought that was quite cool, and just in practice, it was quite enjoyable, the small segment that I did play. I might even see, because there's a few people that I know that have the game, I might see if I can get something set up with them to at least try it out in a multiplayer context.
I think the concept is interesting enough, and I think if they did like a movie, a TV series tie-in with like Doctor Who, and you do that with the Weeping Angels, and you turn that into essentially a game, I think there could be some value in that potentially.
For sure. Yeah.
That being said, it would be a very niche thing. It would be the same audience that enjoy the what is it called when essentially one player is essentially the monster or killer or whatever, and everyone else is trying to either
isometric.
Take down the person or hide from them.
Isometric.
No, you mean like social deduction?
Not social deduction, because it's not about figuring out who is the killer, but it's you
like
already have someone. So Evolve would be a good example.
Yeah, Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th sort of things.
So just, yeah.
I don't know if that sort of genre's got a label, does it? Online
PvP?
Online asymmetric multiplayer survival horror is what Dead by Daylight gets marked as.
I guess asymmetric because you've got it's essentially one person is the killer and everyone else is essentially victims or whatever.
I suppose it still doesn't really cover like the whole opposition element though. Asymmetric PvP.
Yeah. Because like Predator was that too as well. But yeah, I think that could work for like it, but I think you would have to gain more interest with something that's more of an established IP. So either it's like an SCP, like game, or it's like a Doctor Who game. In order to, I think, have any kind of to generate interest in it, and to draw those people in from, all the other like was it asymmetric games that they play.
I don't think Doctor Who's a selling point anymore. I think, unfortunately,
I haven't kept up. I've only watched like bits and pieces of Doctor Who, so I have no idea where they are currently right now.
In the bin, to put it politely.
No one knows what's going on with the series anymore at the moment. They left it on a cliffhanger expecting another series to be made, and then it's just, I don't know, something's fell through. I think Disney pulled their funding that they were giving to the BBC to help them keep the production alive. But yeah, you're basically on about adopting something like what Dead by Daylight does, whereas Dead by Daylight kind of had, again, a bit similar to Dead Island, where it had its janky kind of gameplay. It still had a solid core at its foundation, and then it kind of built upon that with DLC and licensed properties. Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. Yeah, loads of DLC. That's kind of what turned me off Dead by Daylight to a degree, because I mean it's my number one most played game on Steam. I've got like 250 hours in it, but I got tuned out of it because I kind of felt like unless you keep up to date with all the DLC, you do get a heavy feeling of FOMO in the game because you feel like you're missing out on a lot of other content that other players have access to. Which I think might even be part of the marketing strategy that they made for it, where it's like you can play against players that have DLC that you just don't own, because it's almost like hey, fuck you, you don't own this, I do.
$489 Australian for all the DLC.
Yeah, I may be on 2/3 of them. But yeah,
Jesus.
I stopped keeping tabs of it like 2-3 years ago. Probably 23.
It's like Payday 2. Payday 2 did the same thing, and then they dropped Payday 3, and they're like, oh, we realized we fucked up, we're doing more stuff for Payday 2, and it's like, yeah, we're not following you anymore. You guys biffed it. Fuck you.
Payday 2 at least gave you an option to get everything for cheaper. Dead by Daylight has very limited means of doing that.
To be fair, Payday 2 only did that recently now.
What, 14
beforehand?
Years after it released?
Yes, yeah, for the anniversary. Because before that, it was like, no, you can eat the cost of buying it all separately or buying it all on sale. You're like, I don't want to though. Like, well, suck shit.
Dead by Daylight turns 10 this year as well.
Wait, really? It came out in 2016?
Yeah,
it was older.
June 2016. The beta probably started before then. I think the beta came out end of 2015. Because I remember I played the beta. Because it was like kind of I think it was another marketing strategy that they were doing to try and get some people hooked in quite early. Literally. Because, killers hook people. Hey, but I'm here all evening. Okay, let's go on to our comment comeback. So, we were spoiled for choice with comment comebacks, actually, probably because we've been away for 2-3 weeks. I think I had about a dozen comments to sift through and decide which one to highlight, but I settled on this one. This is a comment from Georgiana, and she put a comment on the article that was put up on Sentinels, basically reflecting on the events of 2025 on Steam, where we discussed about the malware incidents, the review manipulation problems, the just everything that was going on, the scams, the phishing, the spyware, all sorts of stuff that we've discussed here on the podcast and also over on our group page that you should all go and join and follow and everything. Georgiana put in a comment in response to that article, quote, "This whole year has left me in a place where I no longer buy games on Steam unless they're heavily discounted. I'm afraid of having my games taken from me. I'm afraid of my games becoming vectors of attack. I don't trust the platform anymore, and honestly, it sucks. I just want a game in peace." End quote. Obviously, I'm used to seeing some comments kind of say something similar, but how Georgiana's put it is a little bit different. I'm used to seeing people very violently angry at stuff like this, but she just seems to be quite more emotionally fatigued with the problems that the platform's had. Obviously, making reference to game licenses and game keys being revoked that we discussed near the end of last year. Also, the issues where malware has been packaged into the game files on games has caused a greater level of mistrust in the platform of being able to deal with these problems. What I was keen to discuss about this is if Georgiana here has kind of adjusted her buying habits on Steam in response to some of these problems that we've spoke about. Have either of you kind of either encountered other people that have done something similar, or have you also been maybe a little bit more cautious on games that you pick up from Steam, following a lot of the news that came out last year?
No. I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's an extreme view. I think it's a restricted view to have, to be like, I don't trust developers on Steam anymore, because it's like, how many games actually get taken down? To be fair, outside of the scam games that are $10 or $200 that we cover, and some AAA games, which you can tell from day one that they're going to go down, but there's not been many cases of games where they've gone up and then they've come back down nearly instantly and you haven't gotten your money back. Valve is pretty good at making sure that they don't get in trouble with the Australian government again. I think it feels like where somebody's been screwed over once and they've just thrown their hands up and said, fuck the entire system. It feels defeatist in a sense, in my mind. Rather than just being like, this is a one-off, this happens every so often, but it doesn't happen often enough for me to be scared. it feels like a thing where it happened to somebody once and they're just like, Steam is an awful platform, I'm done.
SVD, what are your thoughts?
It's very weird.
I also think that it's kind of it's definitely, I think, a paranoid take, and I think it comes from people in which they want to find a place that they can trust 100%, not 98%. Not they don't want any chance of being screwed over, right? Or viruses. And while I understand that, problem is that I don't really think that there's any place like that on the internet. I think some point in time there's going to be stuff that slips through the cracks. Um, and so to kind of take that, and then on top of that, um, the thing is that like if you're buying indie games, right, and that's your concern, I can kind of see that, but what is it? That is kind of a risk that you are taking. Should it be a risk that's on you? Not really, but that's kind of where we're at with Valve. And Valve will do what they can to stop at least anything with malware or viruses from being uploaded, but as we've talked about in the previous podcast, if it's uploaded and it's clean and then someone goes back and changes it with an update to something that's not, that's essentially the loophole in that. That being said, if you are going to play games that are apart from obscure indie games, I think you're safe. It's not EA is not going to upload a virus to Steam or anything like that. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but did Slay the Spire fall into a problem where the developer's account got compromised and there was some Trojan or something shipped in an update patch or something like that? Maybe
there was definitely an indie game in which they lost access to their someone essentially had hijacked or hacked into their account stuff and they're able to essentially change shit and control the developer's account.
Sorry, it wasn't Slay the Spire. It was like some small indie game that had like
it was
50.
It was an indie game. Yeah, a lot of people were blaming him too. I think I forget, because if I remember correctly, they blamed him either for not doing something to prevent this, or just for lack of being able to do anything at all, even though it was, I think, mostly out of their control.
Sorry, I've just had a Google there. I know the incident that you guys were talking about there. This is something a little bit similar that happened. It wasn't the Slay the Spire game you're talking about. It was an indie game specifically, but it also happened with a Steam mod for Slay the Spire called Downfall.
That's
it's
it,
apparently on Steam. So that also, there was two games that got infected with an Epsilon virus, and that was in back end of 2023. And there was that one indie game that you guys have mentioned, and then there was also the Slay the Spire mod that got impacted by it.
Yeah. I think it's unfair to frame it as Slay the Spire got infected when it was...
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. No, that was just me misremembering. Yeah, I think I'm kind of in between you guys and Georgiana, because I at least sympathise with where Georgiana's coming from, of like the frustration of seeing some of these problems come up. But yeah, the only thing I've adjusted, because it's a little bit like what you were saying, SVD, when you go and I used to just like if a user on Sentinels had sent me a game, like an asset flip looking title, and they said there's something up with this. It might not have been viruses or anything like that, but they might have just been like, I think this is an asset flip, but I'm not sure what the kit is. If it was free, I would just download it, install it, and play it. Now, when it comes to that, if I see an asset flip and it's free to play, it's like, now I do admittedly think twice before actually delving into it, because now I know the risks of, like with Pirate Fi, and how some developers have just used a very cheap game to house a Trojan or a virus or something like that. But it's like you say, the vast majority of games on Steam aren't impacted by that. I understand that it might now seem like, there's a few instances where this is happening. That I think it's only fair that there's at least a little bit of a shred of doubt that gets planted in your mind when you do hear some news of, hey, there's some viruses on Steam, etc. I think it's only a natural reaction to at least want to exercise caution. But yeah, I would maybe, if I was to give Georgiana advice, I would probably just say, if the concern is more so on have games taken away from you, assuming, because I read that in potentially two ways, that she's either referring to multiplayer only games that are getting shut down, or she's referring to game keys getting revoked. Two obviously quite different problems there, but in terms of like games where multiplayer's just getting cut off, that's just an unfortunate reality we have to live with for the time being. I don't know what kind of state that we'll be in this time next year, depending on what happens with the Stop Killing Games movement. But then as well, if you look at instances of keys getting revoked, I've slowly as well, this is maybe another buying habit that I've maybe adjusted, maybe not fully consciously but a bit subconsciously. I've been buying fewer and fewer games on key websites, whether that be from Humble, Fanatical, or anywhere. I rarely ever buy games on there now. I'm mostly pretty much exclusively Steam buying on site. I just feel like it's a lot more secure. I know that licenses can still get revoked, but there's much fewer stories and headlines about games that you purchase directly on Steam getting revoked as compared to a game key on Humble expiring, or people on Daily Indie Game are constantly in a battle of game keys are getting revoked on that website. And I think to an extent where it's like at some point, even though it might not all 100% be on Daily Indie Game, there's a ripple effect that ends up happening where the issues happen on that one site so consistently that it makes people a lot more apprehensive. No, do we have anything else that you guys want to chime in with any of this?
Yeah, I will always buy all my AAA games on sites. Anything that's linked to not Green Man, to Is There Any Deal? Because I know they're not going to get revoked. If a AAA company is revoking keys from a key site, then somebody inside that company's fucked something up severely. But yeah, the indie games I just buy directly off Steam. But I don't buy many games that... There's nothing I buy... This audio is going to be fucking horrible. There's nothing I buy that... Yeah, I've never had a game get revoked on Steam, and I get a lot of stuff from Humble Bundle. Like, most of my games that I've never really played that I expect to get key revoked is Humble Bundle games.
Just as a side story, so a topic that I was going to put on a few podcasts ago, I got shown a game that was being sold on Humble Bundle. I can't remember specifically what the game was. It was a fighting game that was on Steam, but the game got removed from Steam, and I think it was because the development company maybe went out of business. But Humble was still selling game keys, and some people went and bought the game keys from Humble, but all the game keys got revoked. So when they would basically buy the key, try and redeem it on Steam, and it would just say that it was an invalid product code. So Humble were basically selling product codes that weren't actually working anymore. And I only got the message through because there was there was a small group of users that were trying to contact Humble support, but they hadn't.
When was this?
This was end of last year. I want to say October 25. It was very recent.
Perhaps there should be a humble rant part 2.
Maybe. I didn't write an article on it because I think there was something else happening that week as well, but I posted about it on X because since there was quite a few people messaging me about it, I decided, okay, I'll throw my hat in and see what can be done.
Humble has to be running on a skeleton crew.
I think
they have to be.
I think so. I think they're really struggling.
And on top of that, whoever's making the decisions, I feel like needs to be fired for just their whole process of stuff and communication. There's no reason for them to be selling pre-order keys that they've sold out of. So when a game then does come out, that they're not, the fact that they were not able to immediately able to fulfill everyone's pre-order keys for what was it, the new Monster Hunter game when it came out, is like is a joke because you would pre-order in order to reserve a copy of your key, and the way that they did that essentially meant that that didn't even work. Um, Even though they still had, keys of it to sell on the store, at least for the non-pre-order stuff. And then this whole key expiration stuff as well. And that when you are subscribed to Humble Monthly or when you buy a Steam key, like um, when you buy a bundle, you're not guaranteed all those keys. And it won't tell you if it's already sold out of something. You can keep buying something that it's sold out of. And which is ridiculous because you have sites like Fanatical that will let you know if something is low. Like, yeah, low stock on this, or we're completely sold out, and it does not let you, um, purchase it.
Humble used to
So I
be. Oh, sorry, Humble used to be my most trusted key website until maybe about last year, 2 years ago. Purely just because first of all it was like the key expiration stuff, then it was the hiking of prices, and then the issue that happened where it was like Humble are literally selling a game where the keys don't work. Yeah, they just went down in my guesstimations. And then Fanatical's kind of my main. If I was to not buy something off Steam, if I was looking at like a key website to buy something from, Fanatical would probably be the only place now
I
I would
would
really
agree.
entertain
Yeah,
it.
Fanatical. And
Prices are cheap, bundles are pretty good. You would get. I think what I like about Fanatical as well is Humble kind of now. You get better quality games in terms of like not better quality, but like higher production games at Humble. Fanatical do focus a bit more on indies now, I feel, than Humble does. So I'm finding like a lot more indie gems and in a Fanatical bundle. I'm finding a lot more interesting titles.
yeah, and I think that is Fanatical seems to actually be taking it feels effort is coming on Fanatical side. It does feel like when someone is coming up with bundles or however they come up with bundles, however they come up with um, the various sales and bundles and stuff on their website, it does feel like they put some thought into it. And I definitely feel that, especially when you look at some bundles and you're like, there's a lot of obscure titles, but you'll have at least one, two, sometimes even three guaranteed like non-obscure titles, right? So if you weren't really interested in most of the bundle, you at least still had these three games or whatever that you definitely you most likely were interested in.
Mm.
Um,
There's another couple of things.
which I think is fair.
There's another couple of things that I appreciate that Fanatical do is that um, Humble and Fanatical both have like tiered bundles where it's like if you pay this much, you get this many games. But Humble kind of lock you to those titles. But with Fanatical, 9 times out of 10, if you say to Fanatical, right, if you pay us this much, you can pick 3 games out of this collection of 12. Which is like, so now you're also giving the users the choice of which games in this bundle they want. But second of all, I recently had to get in touch with Fanatical support because I bought a game key by accident. I was meant to get... I thought I clicked on one game and I was meant to get the other. When I contacted Humble support last time, I filled in a form and they said they would get back to me in no later than 15 working days. Fanatical... I sent my query off to Fanatical's email, so I didn't have to fill in the form, they just gave me an email address and I shot an email off to them. Support got back to me in 2 hours. And I'm still waiting for a response from Humble for the email I sent them in October. It's like, their support's more streamlined, they've got much better customization, they've got much better bundles in my opinion. It's an easy solution. It's an easy decision for me in terms of like which of the two I'd much prefer to go for now.
So, for instance, too, looking at Fanatical right now, the best platinum collection of 2025. You pick 3 games, and you can get those for $10.
That's not bad.
And yeah, and it tells you the MSRP for each of them. And now, and granted, if you only pick two, right, it's not going to give you that deal until you pick three, and then 5, and then 10. It says best value, and it does the X amount of dollars per item, right? And on here at the bottom it says sold out for one of them, and it doesn't let me add it to the bundle. That's a very simple thing.
Yeah, they push it down to the very bottom of the bundle to show you.
That's
this
the other
was
thing
in the
too.
bundle,
Yep.
But now, and then it grays it out, blacks it out. It makes it clear to you to see that it's not available anymore. We should get a fanatical sponsorship.
I'd be down for that, but Humble's situation is so bad that if I remember correctly, you had former Humble Bundle employees start up a website called Digifile, which is essentially doing Humble Bundle, but doing it with essentially a lot more communication and whatnot. Where like on the homepage, it tells you the expectations, and each of these like is essentially it feels like a direct calling out of Humble. So completely independent is what it says. How we're different. Built by gamers for gamers with integrity at our core. So completely independent. No overselling. That's a huge one. Keys are reserved the moment you check out. No waiting. Limited time events. One headline collection at a time, 2 weeks long, or until we sell out. Maximum 2 collections per month. No reruns. No filler. Our headline collections feature the best games of their kind from the past 2 or 3 years that haven't been bundled before. There's a key exchange. Trade in keys you already own for credit to get another game on the Digifile exchange. And then donation bonus plus unlock charity. Donate to unlock bonus content, including exclusive artwork, and know that 100% of extra donations, minus processing fees, goes directly to the charity. And on here, at least it's on the homepage, but I do believe it says elsewhere on the website, it tells you from the get-go there is a key expiration thing. But at least here I can understand with what they're doing, because they want to make sure that the inventory that they have, they want to make sure that there's no like leftovers or anything. And if there is leftovers, they will find a way to do something with that. Either they give it back, perhaps they give it back to the developer publisher, and then developer publisher maybe just discards those keys. But the idea is that there's no like forgotten or abandoned keys.
Yeah.
Right.
And that makes sense. It makes sense
yeah.
in the whole, the ecosystem of key distribution, because obviously there's also, I think on the developer side of things as well, there's obviously then that paranoia of games keys that you've distributed out to users. You've then got that worry, are they just going to appear on grey market sites like G2A, Kinguin, stuff like that. So then if you've got a website that's kind of giving you that confidence, you're more likely to go and work with them. You're more than happy to like try and reach a deal with them.
Yeah, because you have to think about like the amount of unused Humble Bundle keys has to be staggering. And on top of that, like the developers and publishers who own those keys, right? It's very baffling to them that something hasn't been used in forever. Like, okay, we've got a Dishonored 2 key that someone got in the 2019 Humble Monthly thing and still hasn't been activated. So then the question is why? And on one side of things, like from my perspective, I still have a ton of keys I haven't put out yet that I bought years upon years ago. I should probably get rid of them. Maybe we do a giveaway or something. But
you heard it here first. He's on record saying that.
I'll do it. I'll just drop keys out of nowhere.
We'll do it on Steam Gifts.
Watching.
Do it on Steam Gifts as a thank you to the community over there.
Yeah, we do love Steam Gifts here.
We do love Steam Gifts, yeah.
because their moderators are not assholes.
I got a really I'll probably get into it more on our second topic, but I got a really lovely message off of one of the moderators on Steam Gifts just a couple of days ago after we put up the most recent article, saying that he's happy to lend support where we can. If we need anything, just to drop him a message, basically.
Actually, well, before we do that, I want to check: is there any deal? Because is there any deal? Did at least put out via social media a tweet promoting Digifile. And
yes.
Knowing is there any deal, I don't think they would do that without at least having done a little bit of their homework.
They'd have vetted them, yeah, because I remember there was a user in our Discord server that had linked Digifile before they were authorized by Is There Any Deal, and we made the decision that we weren't going to allow the link because we've kind of got a policy in our Game Deals channel that any website that you link has to be Is There Any Deal authorized at the bare minimum, because there's just so many scam marketplaces that don't work with developers that don't do X, Y, and Z. We like to make sure all the links that are shared there are above board. So we even though we kind of thought this might probably be okay, but we'll wait till we've got the Is There Any Deal thumbs up and go ahead, and then a couple of weeks later they did exactly that.
I will say that currently right now when you go to Is There Any Deal, it's not listed in their shops. And that might be because they're still relatively new. And so it might be where Is There Any Deal is not going to put them on there until it's been proven that they're not going to flounder, right? That they're going to last, not just a few months.
Well, it's also, I think it's probably also depending on Is There Any Deal need to see if the website's actually gaining traffic and people are actually interested in seeing information about the site.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they just waste time implementing the website into theirs. That then nobody uses.
If it goes bust, then that's it. So hopefully they'll wind up on Is There Any Deal, because I believe what was it, because there's another website that kind of does the whole limited deal stuff, and it's usually temporarily. Oh my god, something GG
Deals.
Is it GG Deals?
Yeah.
Because I remember what was it, like Total Biscuit, I think, would promote them.
Oh no, you're thinking of Chrono.gg.
Yeah, that is what I was thinking of. Which I don't see them on the list, so I'm guessing they're not. I'm guessing they don't exist anymore.
Who, GG Deals? Oh, Chrono.gg. Yeah, I was going to say GG Deals. They're not awful, but GG Deals do endorse. They list G2A and Kingwin. What they do is they will list official retailers. Like if you go and look up a game and you want to try and find a place to buy it, they'll list the official retailers for those that want to go through an official route and find you the cheapest option. But then they will also have a separate list where they'll show you unaffiliated traders like Kingwin, like G2A, stuff like that. So it's like they still do actively advertise those kind of websites, which kind of steers me away from actually officially advertising them.
So Chrono.gg died essentially in 2023.
Oh, that's a shame, because I did use Chrono.gg sometimes. We had a brief thing with them as well. We had a little store set up, which I thought was a good idea when I first did it, but then I slowly realised that, I've got to manually rotate the stock, and I'm going to have to...
Or actually, it might have died in 2020. So I've seen two different years here, but yeah, it
2023 makes more sense to me, because I think I was still updating the store page that we had in 2021, the early 2020s.
I think it was announced in 2020 that it was closing,
and I think
then it probably finally closed. Yeah,
they were probably using it as a chance to just get rid of their stock as well. But no, we've gone off on a little bit of a tangent on that comment, but it was still somewhat relevant because, we're talking about game keys, game activations, and game key sourcing. Thank you very much, Georgiana, for that comment that you left. If you want to be featured on our comment comeback next week, feel free to leave a comment either on our YouTube video here, on the Sentinels of the Store group, in our Discord server, on X for as long as I am on there for. It's up in the air what's going to happen with that at the moment, or on Blue Sky, anywhere that you want to. Anywhere that we are on, feel free to leave a comment and we might consider it for discussion next week. Okay, moving on to what will be our final topic of today, is the most recent Sentinels of the Storm article. So I had a chat with SVD and a few other people, not necessarily like Sentinel staff, but like active community members, both near the end of last year and at the beginning of this year. We kind of talked a little bit about this at the last episode, where, was it 05 games we discussed, SVD, that you brought forward as a topic in the last episode last year?
05 games. My mind's a little rusty on that one.
I think it was.
What did I say that it was in relation to 05 games?
Right,
I remember now. There we go. I remember now. Yes, I did a forum post article, which maybe that should have been an actual article now that I think about it. But yeah, 05 games.
Yeah. So we kind of finished the year talking a little bit about the review manipulation problems on Steam, and I kind of came in this year thinking it was 2 years since we did the write-up on Obzor. For context, for people listening, Obzor was basically a Russian review ring that SVD initially uncovered on some Russian forums, and he found it being advertised where basically the purpose of the website was to sell positive Steam reviews, where users could apply to review a game, and they would have to buy it on Steam so that the review that they wrote contributed to the aggregated rating. They would buy the game, but then as payment they would get the full game fee subsidised to them, and then they would get a small fee on top for writing the review. We did an article covering that, based on what we found, including the rules the website made you agree to, the format of how their whole application system worked. We wrote that like 2 years ago, I think it was April 24. And I kind of looked back on that in a reflection piece that I did near the end of the year, and I realised that even though we had some productive conversations with Valve in terms of the direction it was going in, I realised materially nothing had really been done to those reviewers to either combat the developers that were employing them or to combat the users that were writing the fake reviews. And because, fake reviews, the reviews weren't disclosed as being paid, it skews the position that those users are taking on the game that they're reviewing, and it just deceives customers, and it's unfair for developers that are playing by the rules that this whole network is running around, shackle free, punishment free. Valve are aware of it, but they've so far been pretty silent on it. They've not really taken, well, up until the last couple of days, they hadn't really taken much proactive means to combat this. So I decided to make it I put up an article a few days ago basically saying that I think that 2026 should be the year that we really, really focus and clamp down on this review manipulation problem on Steam. I basically committed to doing more consistent coverage on that ring in particular. I wanted to make sure that games that were making use of those, people were getting tagged on our curator so that people that follow our curator can see an instant warning that this game has had its rating artificially inflated. Because I kind of dismissed it because obviously we had the games with paid reviews curator as well, but even though we've been plugging that group and plugging that curator that's run by Family Owl, it still only gets followed by like 500 or so people. We've got a little bit of a bigger audience, so if we allow them to have a direct source to a wider audience, it kind of broadens out the discussion and it makes more people aware more naturally, rather than making people go to another group as well. So I'm still wanting to have a chat with Family Owl and see about getting him engaged with this as well, more through the Sentinels network. But yeah, so I wanted to make more of a thing this year of going out and actually making more of an effort to do something about this Obzor review ring. What I started by doing was I wrote that article, I shared it around. There was a media outlet that just picked it up recently today and talked a bit more about our group and review manipulation as a whole on Steam, a little bit of a history lesson of how Steam tackled the issues back in like the mid 2010s and how they kind of tackle it now. It's been a really productive last few days, to be fair. The community support for this idea has been really, really positive. Some users have messaged me saying that it was an important issue to them, but they kind of lost steam, for lack of a better term, over the last couple of years because they were frustrated by the lack of progress that had been made. I've also been starting, as of today, I've started to build a bit more of a data sheet to help me, at the very least, get a better understanding of who might be involved in these coordinated review attempts and how to better potentially track it in the future. But in the last few days, it's been brought to our attention that I don't know when these happened. I don't know if these just happened in the last couple of days or if these have been like slowly trickling on in the background. We only got notified about them recently. But the Steam user that was identified as running Obso received a community ban on Steam permanent. A number of reviewers, I think from when I did my tally, it's somewhere between 10 and 20 now, Obso reviewers have received permanent community bans as well. Most of them have had all of their reviews deleted by Steam as well. This, though, it's a very, very reassuring first step, but it's still a small drop in the pond. It's dropping a pebble into the massive ocean of the bigger problem because there's so many others. I mean, 2 years ago when we were taking the screenshots of the website and we were looking at the order numbers, I remember the game counts, the individual games that were using that website, and that's just the one website, was almost at 700, and the reviews was nearing, I think, 2,000. Review orders were nearing 2,000. So you're talking now, 2 years later, you're talking easily games in the thousands on Steam have been employing this tactic, and it could be that we're in the high thousands now of reviews that have been written. I've identified at the very least, I'm still building the data sheet, but there's another 20 people at the bare minimum, and that list is still growing, and it will grow over the next month, 2 months. The vast majority having about 100 to 200 reviews each across Steam on indie games that are just having their ratings inflated, where it's easier to get lost in because, these users actually write, on the surface, very genuine reviews. You would read it, and unless you knew the background before it, you wouldn't know it was fake. So no, there's been some reassuring advances, there's been some reassuring steps that have happened in the last few days that has helped kind of put a little bit of a rocket boost under both the topic and our calls for action on this. I guess I just wanted to get both your inputs as well. I know me and you have at least spoken about this briefly, SVD, but it'd be good to kind of just revisit it a little bit in terms of how we potentially go about making productive change on this. How can we potentially go about instigating Valve to make changes? What is the kind of the trajectory that we should be aiming for?
So, I think unfortunately, we've learned that I think I'm safe in saying this. We've learned that unfortunately to go after the games that we're confident are engaging in this scheme is most likely not going to happen.
Correct.
But the users themselves seem to be fair game. Now that being said, it's not about when I look into the users, it has to be a lot of coincidences for me to look at and go, yeah, they're essentially engaging in review manipulation. Same games in either the same order or almost the same chronological order within the same time period. And you have multiple users and it's more than one game that they have in common. It's like 10, 20, and these are not AAA games. They're not even like the well-known indie games. It's all this kind of obscure stuff. They're doing it in essentially the same period of time. That I think alone is reason to essentially report them to Valve and have Valve take a look at it. Now, the question I have is, are we better off filing a report on the profile themselves via Steam, or is it better off to compile a list and send it to Valve for them to take a look at it via email? Is kind of the only thing I'm not quite sure on. The other thing is too is that, well, if we go after the profiles, they can make a new one, and considering how cheap games are for them over there because of the whole Russian ruble thing, uh, it might not be too much of a hindrance. It will sting, I think, a little bit for some of them because it'll hit their main accounts, but a lot of them are just used to, all right, fine, I'll just make another account or buy another account. So we'll see how this goes. It may be just an uphill battle that, like a big game of whack-a-mole. Every time one gets community banned, another one will pop up to essentially replace that. And this has been going on for quite some time. It'll be interesting to see if it slows down any, because there have been reports on their end of things where there haven't been all too many games to be essentially quote unquote paid reviewed on. And I think my thinking behind that is that there's not too many I think developers or publishers that are reaching out to them, or they're most likely keeping a lot of that stuff to like their internal crew of people that have been doing this for almost 10 years. Because this was something I spotted back in 2018 with a different group of people. It was like, what was it, Surge 110, something like
Sergey.
that. Yeah, Sergey. And Mihalovich was part of Sergey's group. Where you saw Sergey, you'd see Mihalovich, and you'd see a guy that went by the name of DM, as well as a few others. And I haven't seen Sergey's name pop up in any of these, any of the games kind of.
I did check in on him
years.
today. I did check in on him today, and yeah, he's kind of gone a little bit dead. I don't think there's been as much recent review activity at the moment from him.
But a lot of people, that were a part of his group, essentially are still kind of very active. Mihalovich being one. The other thing is, to them, this is normal. This is not like bad. This is not like, I better not get in trouble. They're very lax about this.
They've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, they've been doing it for 10 years. And the thing that's frustrating is that I'll take a look at some of the games that will get reviewed, that they'll, review. I'll take a look at the negative reviews, and you have people who are like, this game's garbage. It's done this. I don't believe the positive reviews like I did. I'm pretty sure these are all botted or AI made or whatever. Which they're pretty close. They're not botted, but it is paid. It is essentially a conspiracy with paid reviews going on. Which and the whole thing with that is that it hurts the integrity of the whole system, especially for indie games. Because as long as this keeps going on, anyone that takes a look at an indie game and it has positive reviews may just dismiss it and go, well, they probably paid for it. I would imagine, and I'll ask Ratchet here, but I would imagine as a developer, seeing games that do paid reviews and either seem to do well, because of it, or at least appear well, better than your game that may not have enough reviews to generate a score, I would think would be frustrating.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I can add to it. It's just, yes, it's very annoying.
There was I posted we were talking about Steam gifts earlier. I posted the article that was going up about us saying what we were going to do to try and tackle the problem on Steam gifts, and we got largely a very, very positive response. There was a lot of users there though that were admittedly quite exhausted, saying, like, one of the first comments I got was saying, it's too late to solve the problem. there was another, but then there was always some others that were like really, really supportive. Every bit counts. But then there was one user just yesterday put together what I thought was quite a thoughtful response. I didn't fully agree with it, but I was thinking, okay, they've taken some time to at least construe this together. I'm going to read it out. It's almost like comment comeback number 2. User on Steam Gifts had put, appreciate the effort and the goal, but I'm having a stale aftertaste in my mouth. Shouldn't the multi-billion-dollar company named Steam be paying people to achieve a less biased platform? It's their cash cow, and you kind of are indirectly enabling their laziness and negligence for free, are you not? Thereby, we are not only customers for a questionable business model where we don't own anything, but now also doing their quality control and abuse hunting for free. How nice of us, how nice for them. This somehow doesn't sit right with me concerning Steam and all these other platforms, especially the more they lean towards the social media side. I got what they were getting at, and it's something that I've heard mentioned. It's a criticism I've heard mentioned about our group before, where in a way, even though we criticise Steam for what they do, like kind of our existence can encourage a form of negligence in terms of just allowing Steam to continue as they are, because it's almost like, oh, they're doing this for free, we don't need to pay someone money to solve the problem. Sorry, were you going to hop in on that?
I was going to say, not to defend a multi-billion-dollar company, but yeah, I find it funny. I kind of agree with what they're saying, but it's also like, it's funny to me in a weird way.
No, I get it. I mean, I'll read the response I put on to that user. I get why that doesn't sit right, and in an ideal world this wouldn't be necessary, but this isn't about replacing Valve's responsibility. Rather, it's about narrowing the information gap for users. Platforms at this scale already rely heavily on user reports for abuse, scam and fraud. The issue is making those reports structured and evidence-backed enough to lead to actual action, rather than being scattershot and easy to ignore. It's not about doing quality control for Valve so much as making sure problems don't remain invisible.
I think that's a good response. And the thing is, too, is that a lot of times the issues that happen on Steam, Valve just want to, well, I hesitate to say this. Well, Valve wants to attempt to make games, right, and run the platform. And they try to think about stuff from a developer's point of view as well as a customer point of view in terms of quality of life stuff for both developers on the back end and consumers on the front end. And they'll try to come up with what they feel are fun ideas that encourage community interaction. Trading cards was one of them, and that got abused to hell and back. The spring sale and summer sale game stuff, with like the races and teams and everything. Fun idea. Got abused to hell and back. And so Valve, anytime Valve come up with something, it usually sounds really good on paper, and like without considering scammers and everything, it would work out. Problem is that scammers see an opening for a way to make money or whatever, and they abuse the hell out of it. And Valve usually is not very wise to it until later on, because at that later on point, it's usually then ballooned to something just that's out of proportion. So, keys for votes with Greenlight, the trading card, scam stuff, that stuff had blown out of proportion by that point in time. And so, again, with review manipulation, that is something where Valve, like, they feel like it would be very obvious, right? That where let's say it was, one product in account and one review, and they're all, you've got like 30 of them all in the same game. Like, what are the chances that new Steam accounts all bought and owned this game and just reviewed this game?
That's actually, just to hop on that point, that's something I mentioned about the press article that got written, I think it was a couple of days ago, about what we were trying to do. That's something that they brought up, in that usually when it comes to review manipulation, it can be detected with algorithms and tools, trying to detect things like what you mentioned, where it's like, if it's very blatant, very obvious, one product, an account, one review, Valve can maybe manage that themselves. But when the journalist was kind of looking at what we were specifically talking about with the Obzor crew, they said there isn't really an algorithm or a bot or something automated that you can build to stop people like this, because you just can't detect it. It's so
You
hidden.
can maybe get close to detecting it from what I've seen, because there is a lot of these users have, and I mentioned this before, they have a higher ratio of games owned
Yes.
to games reviewed, which in and of itself is not suspicious, but when you combine that with the other factors that they have in common, it absolutely is. Especially having that many people on obscure indie games. I believe it makes sense to have a large amount of those people on a AAA game, because the AAA game is going to have a vast pool of different combinations of accounts, new accounts, old accounts, accounts that review a lot of games, accounts that review essentially none. Um, but for obscure indie titles, to suddenly just have a bunch of these people do that, and on top of that, you can tell how some of the ones are newer accounts because it's 10 products owned, 10 products
Mm.
reviewed. Again, in
Something.
and of itself is not, there's nothing wrong with that, but when you have multiple ones where 20 products owned, 26 reviewed, or vice versa, it I would consider that suspicious and something that you might be able to factor into an algorithm by doing a like ratio between the two numbers if that's available.
For sure, but even then, I think that even if you're able to incorporate that aspect into an algorithm, there's still quite a significant amount of human review, probably more than what's usually needed to then actually verify what is actually going on here. Um, in those instances,
It
because I mean,
it
for
still needs
example,
a human review
yeah,
in the end, regardless.
yeah, exactly. But something I noticed as well, because like I said, I'm trying to build up this data sheet of reviewers, games, the reviews themselves, and I'm kind of going in a chronological order. I'm starting all the way back from where I suspect it maybe kind of started, kind of the back end of 2016, and I'm noticing they were a lot more careless back when they were first starting out. The trends of the games that they reviewed was more obvious. Now they put red herrings in, but literally I went through about 10 pages of game reviews comparing them with each other, and it was mirror for mirror the same
Yep.
games for like 10
Yep,
reviews.
in essentially the same order, or
Yeah,
if or slightly out of order, right?
yeah, with an
And
odd exception, but yeah, pretty much it was
yeah,
95% they reviewed the exact same games as each other.
now that they've been caught, they have tried to do two things: have more games in between the games that they get paid to do the reviews, and then in some of the games that they get paid to do the reviews, they may actually give it a negative score, right?
Well, I've had a look, and I've even seen apparently Obzor can actually ask the user to write a negative review. They do it disproportionately low, so that the review score is still positive. But I think that those reviews, Obzor or the website they use, actually verbatimly ask them write a negative review on this game. Again, probably as another, rather than, because previously that was kind of an advised thing. They advised you to do that, but it was never, like, occasionally, again, to kind of throw people off the scent. But now they actually tell you need to do this.
Yeah, it was told that you need to give your honest opinion is what they would say for a lot of them, but they would specify positive reviews for some of them. Yeah, and to me, I guess that depends on what package that the developer is paying for.
Yeah.
That is my opinion of that. And um, the while Obzor is relatively new, they started about 2023 slash I think maybe 2022. But the whole group of reviewers getting together, and them especially being from either Ukraine, Russia, somewhere in that region.
Belarus.
Yeah. That has been ongoing for quite some time, and there was a previous website that popped up before. It was like Steam Up Reviews or something like that. That same website layout as Observer, same concept. And then on top of that, beforehand, and this is what I think is still definitely ongoing, is Telegram groups. There are still Telegram groups out there of essentially these reviewers. But the thing is, with Telegram group, they don't have to worry about. Usually, they've gotten to know each other. Maybe they're all friends. So that way, they don't have to worry about a Judas being among them, right? And on top of that, they can absolutely keep it more internally, which makes it harder to essentially, prove. And so, and a lot of times, a lot of this is harder to prove because a lot of this stuff is kept internally. I managed to get into the Obzor thing, um, luckily because it was still just starting out. Problem is, though, my account was immediately banned from their website within a few hours because presumably I think it's because I didn't do the reviews fast enough or maybe responded to them, or I
You were
I
collecting
think I was.
orders, but you weren't actioning on them, basically.
Yeah, that's what I suspect I got banned for. Because the other thing too is I don't share the same hours as the people at Observer, because they're all on whatever time zone Russia and Ukraine are in. I am not. So where they would probably expect that stuff gets done within that a few hours of receiving those orders, whereas I was still sleeping. Um, that being said, we managed to at least get definitive proof of this. And the other thing too that also kind of makes it a little bit harder is that you can go to Obzor, and provided that you've set your website language or your preferred language in like Firefox or whatever to Russian, you can get to the Obzor website and you can take a look at the orders that they have. But the orders that they have publicly are all for free to play titles, and you won't know the titles until you actually go through the signing up and linking your Telegram account and everything,
Do they
as well as
still
a
show
Steam
the
account.
Do they still show the size on the disk that the game takes up, like the gigabytes?
Good question.
Because that was something even though we were limited with not having the titles, something that we did in the initial stages when we were trying to get your account set up, we were able to use like kind of when the order was made, and the file size, and we matched them up on SteamDB to be able to kind of tell which games matched. Obviously, if there's loads of games that match that file size, it's difficult. But if you've got something like a 21 gigabyte game that's maybe a little bit bigger than your average indie game, then we'd probably be able to track something with that. I think I mentioned because that was the other thing that we've been doing recently. I reopened communications back up with Valve. I sent another email to them back in like August of last year, basically gauging their interest in us compiling something a bit more detailed to them, and they gave a tentative yes, but only on the condition that we only send them a small sample through, because they didn't want us obviously putting loads of work into it, and then only for them to say there's something that they can't action on or something else that they need. So I've finally gotten around to doing that this week, and I'll see where the conversations go. But I did mention in the reach out this week that if they try and access the site how I imagine most of their staff normally would, then nothing will show up. And I mentioned about the you need to have Russian set as your preferred browser language to be able to access it, which also just reaffirms the narrative of how kind of under the radar that these guys want to operate on.
This is something that I'm hoping that we can. I guess the phrase would be to move the needle on a little bit more, and get more eyes on it. It would be nice if we could get um, mainstream gaming publications to take notice of this, but I doubt it. Still hoping maybe we can get PC Gamer to cover it.
Something I was because I kind of thought about that and there was part of me that was thinking, oh, just put something out to them and see if there's any interest, but not to make it seem like I've got full control of like the press and when they pick things up. If they pick it up earlier, fine, but I was even thinking I'm going to hold off myself contacting them because I would rather have a bit more of a conclusive data set to show them, to just kind of drill the point in of how widespread this actually is. Because I think it's fair enough that our community knows it's widespread, and there's some independent journalists that know how widespread it is. Some developers, some very, very high profile that I'll not be able to mention, have messaged me and said that they appreciate that we're raising the issue, talking about it. Some have offered their support and have sent us over stuff over the last year. So it's like, it's nice to know that we have that kind of support, that kind of backing. But yeah, I think we'll play it by ear. We've got high hopes. I'm very, very optimistic, and especially with Steam banning about 3,000 Observer reviews in the last few days, and those community profiles is very, very reassuring. Okay. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Thank you, Ratchet. Thank you, SVD. Thank you to you, the listener, for listening to this episode of the Steam Sentinels podcast. Please do be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode and if you want to see more. Special thank you and shout out to our patrons. Those are Kath, Stefan, Luke, Nin, Old Navy, Twidget, Pocket, and Emigrant. I hope I didn't miss anyone because I didn't write the names down. I'm just going off purely memory. Be sure to join Sentinels of the Store, follow our curator to be kept in know both about the Obzor issue and other problems related to the Steam Store, stuff that might affect your buying decision on certain games. Check out the description down below. We've got a link tree to all of my social media. We've got a link to SVD's Blue Sky page as well. Join our Discord server, keep the conversation going. Come on, leave a comment as well for our comment comebacks either on this video, on X, on Discord, or anywhere else. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care.
I think developers should stay in their fucking lane.